Hey, welcome back to the Woodworking Warrior Shop. I'm Josh, coming back at you with another video, this time with a cutting board. Now, it was a West Virginia cutting board. That was how it was shaped, but I don't have it with me right now, but we can pretend that this is West Virginia. I do not have a CNC, so in this video, I'm showing how you can make something that's a unique shape like West Virginia without the use of a CNC. All right, so let's get to it. All right, you're gonna pull up the image that you need to make a template of. In this case, it's West Virginia, and I'm using a projector to put it up on some old wallpaper that I've marked out 20 inches by 20 inches. And now I just use the laptop to adjust it and scale it to size to be able to fit inside there. And the next step, just take a pencil or a pen and trace it onto the wallpaper, and then I will use that to make a template. All right, got it all traced out, and now that it's traced out, I can take it down, take it into the shop. Once I got my shape done on the once I have the shape traced out on the stuff called. Once I have my shape traced out on the paper, I bring it into my shop. I start cutting my pieces of wood for the cutting board. I've already cut these to size. I get them cut so that the entire shape is covered. Once I have that covered, I will start to glue and clamp these. I'm not too worried about the rest of the state. Mostly just worried about this spot right here, as this is the beginning of the weakest. So I will have a dowel that runs through here. I may put a dowel that runs through here. You won't be able to see the dowels at all because the pieces at the end will cover them up. I will probably glue up probably to here as one piece, and then I will work my way over this way. And as I'm gluing, like I said, I will drill and add some dowels to go through in order to strengthen this piece so that it does not break off in the future. So now I got these pieces lined up, so I'm going to do a line just like this. That way, as I glue these up, I know that I need to keep this line intact. And that will help make sure that I keep my entire state, and I will have enough to actually trim it with the bandsaw to cut the shape out, if that makes any kind of sense. So now I'll make sure that this side is good. So now I can continue that line that I had. Now, like I said, I was going to drill some dowels. So now what I want to do is try to think about where I need to put the dowels. Let's see here. I definitely want to put a dowel through here into this piece. So this is just for me to know that I need to put a dowel through there. That should be good. Now double check this spot to make sure that that's where I want the dowel. Yep. And it's not gonna, when I start to cut the shape of the state, it's not going to show through. So that's how I make cutting boards without a CNC that need to be very unique shapes. I don't have a CNC, so I use a projector, some old wallpaper. You can use craft paper, whatever you got, to project the image onto the paper, so then I can trace that image, and then I will bring it out here to the shop, cut all my pieces of wood and lay it out in the order that I want. And then, like I said, I can use this as a way to strengthen areas that might be weak just because of the shape of the state. When I had to do Texas before, I did that and it worked out really well. So far I've done Texas, I've done Iowa, South Carolina, all right, and now this is the fourth one, West Virginia. All from the same customer. I did Texas for them, and then he ordered the Iowa and South Carolina as gifts for some other people. One of those people reached out back to him and said, hey, I really like this and I would like to give a gift to somebody else for West Virginia. So they reached back to me, and now I'm doing West Virginia. So word of mouth is always better than advertising. So I just wanted to show the process of how I make these very unique sized cutting boards, because most cutting boards that people do, they make them to fit in flat rate boxes, whereas this is I do a 20 by 20 square, and then I make the image of the state or whatever it is. I scale it to be able to fit inside a 20 by 20 square, and that way that's the maximum size that I'm going to be able to do, because anything over that, it starts to get really expensive with weight and size when it comes to boxes. It's kind of hard as it is to find boxes to fit these in, even when they're between 16 to 18 inches. But it's worth it. It doesn't cost too much, and I don't charge the customer for it. I include that in the price of the actual cutting board. Most of the time I use my Amazon boxes because those work fairly well, or I'll have to create and build my own cardboard box to send these in. I'm not going to show the glue up because it's just a glue up. People know how to do that. Let me know what you think about my process, or what you would do differently, or any tips or tricks you think that I can to do to make this easier for myself. Or if you really like this, what tips or tricks maybe that you learned from the way I'm doing this. I mean, I don't know. This is just how I do it. It's how I think about how to do it. Maybe there's a tip or trick in here that I didn't know. Let me know. Ran it through the planer. Now I got the last joint glued together. My planer is only 13 inches wide, so I had to do it in two pieces to be able to get it all the way through. All right, so I got this all glued up, completely glued up, and now I'm going to start my sanding process. At first I'm going to use 80 grit, and I'm using the Cubetron 2 sandpaper here. It's been my go-to sandpaper since I've started using it, but I'm going to start the sanding process. I'll do 80 and then 120 just to make sure that everything is good and smooth and it's flat. Then I will take my paper here. I got to do a little bit more defining of some of the outline, looking at the map again, and then I will cut this. I will double side stick it onto my cutting board blank here. Once I put it on there, then I'll take it over to my bandsaw and start cutting out the shape of the state. Once I get it all cut out and I like the way it looks, then I will start the other part of my sanding process, which is cleaning up the edges, and then also routing over the edges to put a nice little round over on it, and then put on some feet, and then oiled up, and then be able to get it off to the customer. So get to the sanding. Lots of sanding. This will go a lot faster with the 6-inch sander. Let me swap out sanders. Where did I put it? I really need to get the shop organized better, so that way I can keep track of my tools. Where did I put you? Damn TBI brain. How many of you guys go looking for your tools? Got this new Bosch dust extractor, 9-gallon, the HEPA filter. Mostly for sanding, since I do a lot of sanding, but I've really been liking the Bosch tool line here lately. Been kind of slowly switching over. So something else I like to do in this while I'm in this process is, sorry for my voice, a little hoarse, but while I'm in this process, if I find any kind of, even any small significant little openings or
cracks or anything like that, I like to fill them. Come on, lid, get it off. I think I glued the lid on here last. There we go. Oh, that's right, I knocked it over. This whole thing got messed up. So I'm using Starbond CA glue, and I'm using the black here. I got just a little tiny opening. It's not very big at all. These little tips make it really easy to get right where you need it to be. I don't see anything else. Got a little bit of a divot here, so I'm going to fill that in too. All right, back to sanding. All right, so I got this all smoothed out. Now it's time to cut that and stick it on. Started cutting my outline here. Remember, this is literally some old wallpaper that I found. I think I got it from Habitat for Humanity, so one of their resale stores. But you can also use craft paper or butcher paper or anything like that, really. Just a large roll of paper that's big enough to put whatever shape or design that you want to put on it. And I'm not going to cut all the way to my pencil lines. I'm going to cut really close to it so that when I stick it on the cutting board blank, I'll still have my outline, my pencil lines. And because this doesn't have to be super exact, like there's no way I'm going to be able to get all the little tiny, what do they call them, little inlets and stuff like that, because it would just be way too many sharp corners. So I'm just trying to get like a defining shape that is unmistakably West Virginia. That's the goal. What I'm going to use to stick this on there is going to be some carpet tape, or not carpet tape, some double-sided tape. This might be excessive with the double-sided tape, but I don't want it to move around a whole lot. So the one thing about using old wallpaper is that the wallpaper tears really easily. So when you stick this on, you really got to make sure that your placement is good before you press it on. Otherwise, it will tear when you try to make any adjustments, which I have run into before. Make sure you're good when you stick it down because you only got one shot. All right, let's get set up to cut this. So one of the things I like to do is put a number of how many times I twist to loosen my bandsaw blade. And that way I know exactly how many turns to tighten it. And then I put a little notch here because there's nothing really to reference. So I just put in a little tiny notch with a file so that I know exactly where my turns are. So I can tighten my blade back up to where it was good. 2, 3, and 5. All right, what happened? All right, blade popped off. Actually, I think I might have already had it tight where it needed to be. Let's see what's going on. Gotta reset this thing, see what the hell's going on. That's the kind of stuff that happens. Well, I'm pretty sure I got it fixed. The blade itself seems to be okay. Let's see what happens now. All right, for the most part, I got it all cut out. Obviously, I can't get into some of these tighter spots because I don't have a bigger bandsaw. So, like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing. Maybe one day I'll be able to get a bigger bandsaw. All right, hope everybody can see how using a bandsaw has been able to allow me to create this. The whole point of this video that I wanted to make is to show that you can make unique shapes and designs and do a lot of different things that maybe you didn't think was possible. I don't have a CNC. I don't have the money right now to buy a CNC, at least a really good one like I would want. But having the projector has enabled me to be able to do things such as this, to make a very unique shaped cutting board without the use of a CNC. And I've used it for several different cutting boards now in different shapes of different states. I've done Texas, I've done South Carolina and Iowa, and now this is the fourth one, being West Virginia. Yes, projectors are not common for a lot of people, but if you spend a little bit of money, you can get a decent projector. It doesn't have to be a super high quality. It just needs to project an image onto a screen that you can use wallpaper or butcher paper or any kind of, craft paper, a roll of paper, to be able to tape it up onto a screen and trace out that design, and then use a bandsaw to create that unique shape. And then using a spindle, a belt and spindle oscillating sander, I'm going to continue to refine the shape, because again, I don't really have a CNC and I don't have a router template, and I wasn't going to have somebody use a CNC and pay them to make me a router template when I can do it myself with a projector. And I can use a projector multiple different times for multiple different things. And I mean, as you can see, I have a Win bandsaw. If you've seen, I have Win tools. Win tools are not the cheapest. They're not cheaper than Harbor Freight. Sometimes they're about a little bit of quality, I would say, than some of the Harbor Freight tools. But so far, they've been really good for me. As you can see in the background over there, I have a Win planer, right? And I have this Win bandsaw. When I first got this, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to need a bandsaw in my shop for the different projects. But once I got it, I realized the use that I've been getting out of it has been super beneficial to just creating all kinds of different things for my shop and making things easier. And it allowed me and opened up the different types of things that I could do. So getting the bandsaw was a good purchase. Now, do I want a better bandsaw? Yeah, I do. I want to get myself a nice, 14-inch Laguna bandsaw with a resaw blade so I can start resawing my own lumber. I'm not there yet. Will I get there eventually? Yeah, I will. But at least for now, using this, was $300. I think I paid $200 for it used off Marketplace, has been able to allow me to make 4 different custom cutting boards. And between making those 4 cutting boards, this thing has been paid for multiple times, as well as the projector. Now, maybe not the projector that I have. I got that long time ago, but I could have used it to purchase a projector. What I'm trying to get at is that you don't have to have a CNC. You don't have to have super expensive tools to get in a shop and just start creating and making things. And eventually you'll get to where I'm at, where now I'm creating projects and I'm being paid and commissioned, and my hobby's paying for itself. Eventually I will turn this probably into a full-time business, but right now I'm not there. But you can do it too, right? You don't need super expensive tools. I know a lot of these YouTubers out there, they have a lot of Festool and woodpeckers and all these expensive tools. You can do it, you can get there eventually, but you got to get started somewhere. A little thinking outside the box can go a long way. Using a projector. I don't know how many of you out there use projectors in your shop to do certain things like make large templates. Let me know. Maybe it's something new. Maybe something you can take away from this video. But at least, get out there in your shop and make some stuff. So the next step in this process of making this cutting board is now going to be using my oscillating belt and spindle sander to continue to refine the shape. And then I will use my router to round over all the edges. Let me know how you think this has turned out so far. So the next step is to use the oscillating belt and spindle sander to help get that shape a little bit more defined. And I just recently purchased the Bosch dust collector while it was on sale. And I didn't know it at the time when I bought it, but I also have the Syntec hose, dust collection hose, and all the ends on it. They actually match. It's a perfect connection from the Bosch hose. Snaps right in. They're exactly identical as far as this portion is concerned. The rubber fittings are obviously different. If you have a Syntec connectors on your tools, then you can use the Bosch dust collector at the same time and not have to worry about making weird adapters and all that other stuff, because dust collection is, for whatever reason, not standard across all the different tool brands. All right, so I got my cutting board here. Oh, I got all the rough edges from using the bandsaw, and now I'm going to use different parts of the belt sander and the spindle sander to smooth all this stuff out and kind of get into some of these spots. Now, some of these spots I'm not really going to be able to get into, and I'm going to have to sand it by hand to kind of smooth it out. But that's just one of the issues of, you know, having to do this. So I always wear hearing protection, helps with the tinnitus. All right, time to change this out since most of this is not a lot of flat areas. So I always like to see which ones I need to use the most of. Again, you don't have to have super expensive tools. Is it nicer to have the better tools? Yeah, of course it is. But at least I'm out here in my shop, you know, making stuff. So like that one Australian dude says, just get started. Next size down. Sometimes the paper sticks up, so I like to just use this to kind of get the edges of the paper. I can make sure that I'm on my line. And then once I get close enough, I'll take the paper off and I'll continue to refine it without the paper being on. I got the shape pretty much how it needs to be. I got a little bit to take off still in some of these corners, but I'm going to switch over to the hand sanding so that I can get into some of these other spots that the spindle sander cannot. Time to put this away and set up for the next step. All right, so the next step is to get this paper off. Like I said, it tears really easy, but it's super cheap. You can see where all the double-sided tape is at. Back to the 80 grit. The tape stays on and gets melted. That is not wanting to come off. I need to get that other type of double-sided tape that is not as sticky, or that comes off a lot easier. I'm a beginner just like a lot of you. Don't think this because I'm doing a YouTube video means I'm a professional. And my voice is messed up. And this is a Harbor Freight chisel, but I did sharpen it. All right, well, instead of letting you guys watch me struggle with this, I'm gonna get all this stuff off and then see ya. I got this set up here so I can sand all the different spots that need it, that I cannot get into with my spindle sander. So sanding sponge helps out. I also have these profile shapes to help me get into the corners. So that works fairly well. Some of these though are pretty deep. I'll have to get in there by hand. I'm just using 80 grit right now, and then I'll switch it out to 120 here in a little bit.
Thanks for watching the whole video. Unfortunately, as you can tell in the video, my voice got really hoarse. I actually lost my voice and I couldn't speak at all because I had pretty bad laryngitis or pharyngitis or something like that. So I couldn't make a video, but I did round over the edges on that cutting board. I did oil it and I used just regular mineral oil at first, and then I used some of this Clark's cutting board oil. It has a nice citrusy lemon orange smell to it. And then I also used their cutting board wax. That way, whenever the customer gets it, it's got a nice citrusy smell. They open up the box and unwrap it. They get that nice smell, the smell of clean, right? Is associated with orange and lemon, citrus in general. So they get the nice smell to it. It looks beautiful. They get to enjoy it, and it becomes like a little experience. They get to first put their eyes on the cutting board. Like I said, this one was fun to make. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. I'm sorry I don't have the actual cutting board. Like I said, I started to get really sick, and I needed to get it out before Christmas. And then I had that other project, which you can see in the background of this video, is a giant Christmas tree nativity scene shelf tree thingy. That was all the pieces you could see in the background. It's a big old T-looking thing, and the parts that I had out after I had put some finish on them on the sawhorses. So that video is coming up soon as well. So stay tuned for that. But like I said, hope you enjoyed how I made this West Virginia cutting board. Please like and subscribe, share, whatever. Trying to, show videos of how people can do it that, as you can tell, don't have a really nice freaking shop, that's all YouTubeified or whatever you want to call it. I'm just a normal person, regular dude, making stuff in this shop. I just record it so that way my customers, clients, and myself, I can see how I'm going to progress as I continue this journey. Now that I'm pretty much out of the Army, and I can become a woodworker and actually put time and effort, more effort and time into it, the projects that I make. So again, hope you liked watching it. Let me know what you thought about the whole process, and I'll see you on the next video.